Hello. My name is Mike Antonakis. I am one of the two developers at Spaddlewit, and I am here with you guys to demo TraceRace, our latest app. It's available on all of Apple's platforms, so you have iPhones, iPads, iPod Touches, you name it. And recently we just started an Android public beta, and that's available on the Google Play Store if you're interested. Um, Hold on a minute. Let me mute my own stream. Um, First off, let me just start off by saying that the last team that just went totally stole my thunder. They are so fantastic. I admire everything that I saw on their stream. You guys should totally check them out. They deserve all the attention they can get. So yeah, so TraceRace. What you're looking at here is a build of TraceRace that's well, this is a mobile game, but this is running on my desktop, for the sake of streaming. TraceRace is a simple, casual, yet addicting drawing game. It's similar in style to Draw Something. Games like Spell Tower was one of our direct inspirations. I actually spoke to Zach Gage, who made Spell Tower. We have a little email conversation going. He gave me some feedback on it. Great guy, absolutely great guy, and super talented. So the entire game was designed around a touch interface. So that's why, right now I'm just panning around touchscreen. We have an in-game store. I'll get to that later. I think I'll just jump in actually right now and let's play some TraceRace. Okay, so this is the tutorial. This is going to be the first thing you see when you launch the game. Well, that reminds me. Probably should have mentioned this first. The game is completely free to play. So it doesn't matter what device you have. Go ahead and download it right now. It's out on the App Store and on Google Play for free. But this doesn't mean it's technically complete. We're still working on, improving it, adding more features, adding more game types, and what have you. So the tutorial, trace the colored outline of the circle with your finger. So again, what you're seeing here is I'm tracing the outline, and there's a magnifying glass appearing because the game thinks that I'm playing on an iPhone. And on an iPhone, the screen is quite small in comparison to the size of your pudgy thumb. So we included this little offset magnifying glass to help alleviate any issues with drawing. Oh, wow. I don't usually get 100% the first time. So the point of the game is quite simple. You trace around the drawings in one stroke. You can't let go of the touchscreen until you're complete, and that's key. And the goal is to try and balance your accuracy with your speed. You want to try and keep both optimized. So speed is also very important. Keep up the pace when tracing. I'm gonna say this right now. This is my first time ever doing anything on Twitch TV. So if anything goes haywire, you can start yelling at me. Go right ahead and tell me what I'm doing wrong. All right. So we're through the tutorial. It was pretty basic. Now we're going to get into the heart of the game. So there's two main game modes, and I'm going to launch the first one here. We have arcade and we have speedrun. Arcade is, trace as much as you can before running out of ink. You have a finite amount of ink, and every time you trace, every little milliliter of ink, it goes down. Speedrun, you have infinite ink, so waste as much as you want, but you have 2 minutes. You got to go for speed. So speedrun is for the hyperactive crowd where you always just want to draw really, really, really fast. Whereas arcade is great for those who kind of want to relax. They want to unwind after a long day. It's like, yeah. I guess I'll just show you what it's like instead of explaining it. So here I'm just going to select difficulty. We have 3 options: beginner, normal, and extreme. And based on this, the brush size will change. And a few other things will change. Let me just try and remember. On extreme mode, the outline disappears after a set amount of time, just to try and ramp up things. Are you guys still with me? I'm following the chat. I'm just want to make sure you guys are still there and you can hear me. All right. So select guide type. I'm going to pick the crosshair. So in our game, we have over 300 drawings that come with it. You can buy a whole bunch more, but suffice to say, when you download the app, you get 300 drawings. And the object, as mentioned earlier, is just to trace through them as accurately as possible. All right. Hi, Jordan. Nice of you to drop in. And what do you know? So obviously, you're not going to get perfect every time. If you're playing on a touchscreen, this is a lot easier said than done. I'm actually playing on the mouse and keyboard right now, which I really wish I didn't have to, but such is life. The game was inspired a lot by, well, the trend to go more kind of casual. Our first app actually was a 3D mascot-driven golfing game. It was a lot like Sonic the Hedgehog. And suffice it to say, it didn't sell so well. It got a lot of press, and everyone who played it loved it, but it was kind of an experiment. And now with our second app, we've gone back to the drawing board. We decided, all right, let's make a game that anyone can play. Let's make something that we know that my grandmother could play, or my younger sister could play. Something that is so accessible that anyone could enjoy it, even if they don't identify as a gamer. So, of course, the goal is to have the highest score at the end of it. And your best score is tracked between all three game types, or sorry, all three difficulties. So, if you were to play on extreme difficulty, you would have a different best score than you would in normal difficulty. So what you're seeing here down here is one of our newest features. This came out just like an update ago. Click here to skip drawing. So if you went into a drawing, let's say these rings are giving you trouble. You don't want to touch them. You don't want to get anywhere near them. You can hit this button. Oh, what do you know? You don't have to do the rings anymore. Now, keep in mind, you only get 3 skips to start off with, and the rest you can buy as 10 more at any time you want. The simple microtransaction. Yes, I know you're all giving me death glares. But we give you 3 for free, I'm always exploring different ways to monetize this title. And, depending on, if people like the skips or not, we may add more. We may have some giveaways where, an update comes out and you get 20 skips for free. Like, we're always thinking of inventive ways to, bring our audience back. Back to the drawing board, yes. So, the app is pretty simple, especially in comparison to the last title. Holy crap. Now what you're seeing, actually, let me just quickly finish this drawing here. As you can progress through the drawings, it get progressively, more difficult. This is determined by your score, obviously. So let's say your score is at 511. So you're gonna get like the medium difficulty drawings. But when you get to like 1,000 points, you're gonna get the most ridiculous drawings you've ever seen with the most obtuse silhouettes possible. Like one of my noted favorites is the Swiss Army knife. If you can just imagine the silhouette of a Swiss Army knife and having to trace that on a little 6-inch screen. We're all business people here. The Gamer Chick says this isn't a charity business. Yes, that's true. Yeah, very good point. So if you look at our ink bar here, there's 2 sections to it. The first part, the darker blue part, is your main ink, and the lighter blue is your bonus ink. You gain bonus ink by scoring 80% or above in arcade mode. This is exclusive to arcade mode. We thought it might be a nice idea. Anyways, I'm going to screw up, just to show you what happens. So you get a strike. You don't like strikes. Strikes are awful, because obviously in arcade mode, you're trying to conserve as much ink as possible so you can complete as many drawings as possible. That's factored into your end game score. If you get 3 strikes, you're out. The game terminates early, even if you're low on ink. And I have just entered a low ink stage, actually. It's funny. I was just talking about the Swiss Army knife, and what happens to appear? The Swiss Army knife. Oh boy. And I'm going to run out of ink. Ah! Oh, well, I passed that drawing. Yeah, I forgot to mention, if you get a 50% or above, it's considered a pass. 50% or less, or I guess 49.9, you fail. So here is our results screen. You can see here all the drawings that you completed and their scores. You can even see the one you skipped. We have a button here to share with Twitter. I can't show you what it does because it launches in a window in Firefox for me. But if you're on a phone or a tablet, that would just launch up a little Twitter window. Indie Gamer Chick says, this reminds me of one of the minigames in Mario Party where you have to trace the enemy patterns with the jackhammer. That's one of our direct inspirations. I'm a big, big fan of Nintendo. I've been a loyal supporter of them all my entire life. And Crazy Cutters, that's the one you're thinking of, did play a part in this. I got a lot of the idea from there, but I expanded upon the concept. So one of the cool things about the game, I'm gonna go over here now to our in-game store. We have a bunch of premium trace packs, and these contain 100 drawings of various categories. So we have animals, we have outer space, which is actually really cool. You have constellations, famous places, countries, which is like the geographical outline. And I'm going to go ahead and buy famous places. Well, simulate buying famous places. I didn't actually just lose 99 cents. And we're going to play some speedrun. The first one, Lomdor says, in the first one, you have to get at least 90% to win. In the second, it's the best percentage that wins. Yes, I know what yes, you mean it in Mario Party. I was wondering for a second, 90% what? All right, so we're going to launch up speedrun here. And like I said before, the emphasis is on time. That's why it's in this gigantic font. All right, and I'm doing quite awful. So the faster you complete these drawings, the faster the game will play. So that was pretty slow, so the game didn't go that fast. But if I were to complete this much faster, the entire game increases in speed. The game logic, the rendering, you name it. It all speeds up to compensate. Similarly, if I were to do really poorly, let's say I'm just going to go super slow here. Nobody in their right mind would take this long on a simple rectangle. It takes more time, thus wasting more time. And, in a game where, time is of the essence, you don't want that. So what else can I talk about? So as I mentioned earlier, this is Spaddlewit's second app. We're kind of a interesting independent game company because my partner and I, we don't work at the same table. We work remotely. I am a 21-year-old student. I'm studying game development and entrepreneurship at UOIT, the University of Ontario Institute of Technology. And my partner is in Florida. He has a lovely wife and 2 children, and he's a database manager. And we met online. I'd say I've known him for at least 7 or 8 years, and he was the manager of this Sonic the Hedgehog, this Doom modification, a total convert mod that turned Doom into Sonic the Hedgehog. It was ridiculous, and as a kid, I was just enamored by it. And, as the years went on, I ended up being on the development team for the project. And, one thing led to another. And once we got tired of the project, we moved on into commercial game development. Have you thought about doing this for 3DS or Wii U, which use a stylus, says Indie Gamer Chick? Absolutely. I have a gamepad with me right now, and every time I pull it up, all I can think of is, the potential to bring this there. Unfortunately, as I just mentioned, we're just 2 guys. We're just starting out. We only have 2 apps on the App Store. We've had marginal success, but we're nothing big, especially in comparison to the last guys. So Nintendo is something of a pipe dream for us. The reason we went towards mobile devices is because it's very cost effective. Apple only asks for $100 a year up front to develop on their devices. And from there, you can spend as much as you want on marketing, but that's at your own expense. $100 gets you access to the developer SDK. You can run games run your own code on their devices, and you can distribute apps on the App Store. That worked for us. Indie Gamer Chick, you do realize that this is not unique on the indie scene. I've probably met around 200 developers that are set up like a skunkworks. I'm going to presume that's, I sound a little bit ignorant here, but I'm going to presume that Skunkworks is set up in a similar manner to how I just described Spaddlewit. And yeah, of course, you all got to start from somewhere. So yeah, it's not the most complex game out there, but that's part of its charm. There's a lot of depth and strategy to how you play. In drawings like the constellations, you have to determine, all right, what's the most efficient path I can take? between all of these different points. That'll use up the least amount of ink, pardon me, and will be the most efficient path. Now, a few other things we have in this game that I'll quickly talk about. We have Game Center support and Google Play Game support, and there are a megaton of leaderboards. I unfortunately can't show you those right now because this is a Windows build, but you have everything from time spent tracing to how many games you've played to how much ink you've used. And just today, we reached a new milestone. The number one player on our Game Center leaderboards for time spent tracing reached 24 hours. So they haven't spent 24 hours in our game. They spent 24 hours pressing the touchscreen and drawing our drawings. It was it felt really good. It was just absolutely ridiculous. I can't imagine spending that much time playing this. So what we have here is one of my favorite features. After playing a certain amount of games, you unlock backgrounds. And all of these backgrounds were designed by my sister, actually. She's a wonderful artist. And as you go on, the backgrounds get more and more complex. You start off with this one. This is the default background for the game. And I only have one or two of these unlocked because, again, like I've mentioned earlier, I'm playing on Windows. Indie Gamer Chick says this would be unique for a versus mode. That is in our plans. Like I mentioned, this game is still a work in progress. We're always thinking of new and great ideas. And I mentioned to the other team earlier, I asked them about Indie Mega Booth. The reason I asked is that we applied for Indie Mega Booth. Now we haven't heard back from them yet. Those responses are coming out later, I think in a week from now. And I'm realistic enough to know that there's not a high probability of getting in, but if we do get in, my partner and I have both committed to bringing some sort of multiplayer mode. So it'll probably be a competitive multiplayer mode where in the corner of the screen, like right in here somewhere, if I had to draw it, you could see the other player on their drawing, and then you'd be graded against each other. We have a whole bunch of different ideas for how that'll work, and stay tuned. Ashland, 24 hours is crazy. Thank you. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. It's really humbling to see, actually, just how well this game has been received by everyone who's played it. We have about like 25 reviews on the App Store. I've gone to a bunch of my professors at my school who have PhDs in game design, which is still kind of boggles my mind that such a thing exists. But suffice to say, they all enjoyed the game. And I took all their feedback quite seriously. I will give a little shout out here to Leonard Nacky, who is my game design professor. I went to him when in an early stage of development, both for this app and our earlier one, Roly Poly Putt. And he helped shape both the apps. Indie Gamer Chick asked where you can get some kind of attack items that someone manipulate the others. Yeah, absolutely. Something like Mario Kart-esque items. Totally something we've been considering. Right now we have a lot of plans on the drawing board for stuff like that. We just have to sit down and you really apply them. Another one of our ideas that I'll share just a smidgen of information about is one of the greatest draws towards draw something is its social element. Everything's connected via Facebook. If you finish a drawing, you can post about it on Facebook. It's very interconnected with the rest of the world. And we like to bring an element of that to TraceRace in the way of customizable drawings. So you can have your own trace and then trace that later. So you can effectively add to the game's replay value. Now how that will work and what kind of server backend that will entail is yet to be determined. But it's just an idea that we have bouncing around, something we'd love to do, like version 2 or version 3. So as you can see here, this is one of our premium drawings from the Famous Places pack. This is Parliament Hill in Canada. I am a proud Canadian, so you'll see a lot of Canadian sites here. Mini Gamer Chick asks, are you guys going to stay focused on casual mobile games, or are you going to take advantage of the pending console indie explosion? That's a very interesting question. We have looked at, how independent gaming just as a whole has really exploded these last few years. It's incredible. Like 10 years ago, none of us would have been able to survive. I really credit Minecraft a lot for really blowing up the scene. Now, of course, there were apps before that, but Minecraft is really what brought it into the mainstream. Would we like to get into consoles? Absolutely. We need the resources. It's as simple as that right now. We need the resources and the financial stability. Right now, we are making bank off of TraceRace, but we're doing this as a hobby. We both have other means. We both have other jobs, but our end goal is to hopefully work at Spaddlewit full time, as soon as we can figure out how that's financially viable. Is this going to be the year of the indies? I absolutely agree. Like if you read up on Indie Mega Booth, if you've watched any of their podcasts, or sorry, listened to any of their podcasts, you can see that the size of their booth has expanded exponentially every year, and it's a testament to how successful indie gaming is. Actually, you know what? Let me show you another one of our features quickly. Let me exit it here. Go back into our store. So like I mentioned, you get skip drawing. You also get color swatch. Now keep in mind, these prices, they don't reflect the actual prices right now. We've reduced them both. This is a Windows build, and we're forging these prices. So I'm going to buy the color swatch. Uh-oh. Oh, that's funny. Oh, I guess our save crashed. All right, give me a brief moment. It's beauty that I'm running this right in the debugger. Let me just quickly relaunch the app. All right, there we go. We're back up. Oh, oh, I think I corrupted my save. This is why this is an in development build. Thankfully, this is very easy to fix. Just got to delete the save. And we're back in business. Wonderful. So one of the questions we're asked often is, are we running this in Unity? And one of the most surprising responses that we have to give is no, we're not. This is in a completely custom engine that was written by primarily my partner, but I had some involvement in some areas. It's native to C++. It has everything essentially. It has a renderer, it has physics, which are from the open source library Bullet. Um, it's just, a lot of people will say you shouldn't write your own engine. You'll be doing that for years. You should go for something standalone like Unity. My partner has had more than 10 years experience with engine development because, as I mentioned earlier, he worked on a Doom modification and he essentially rewrote the entire engine to become a Sonic the Hedgehog game because Doom and Sonic the Hedgehog don't share that many overlaps. So that was one thing going for us. Another thing was, again, financial constraints. To get a Unity Pro license for the both of us and to be able to self-distribute on the App Store and whatnot would have been like 1.5 grand or something ridiculous like that. And even then, it still wouldn't have afforded us the flexibility we needed. Explain to everyone what is going on, the gamer trick. Well, I'm playing TraceRace. What do you want to know? P. Ashlyn asks, comments, I also agree. I expect big things in indie space over the next years. I'm Paige from Prior Dev Group. Hello, Paige. You guys were absolutely fantastic. I am in awe of your game, and I hope I have the pleasure of meeting you at a con sometime. The pleasure of meeting all you guys, honestly. You guys have, you're reputable. You have a library behind you. You have your beautiful game, and it's a little tough to see just how many indie developers are succeeding right now and have so much. Give me a second to think about what I'm trying to say here. I think what I'm trying to say is you guys have so much going for you, and if we can be half as successful as you are, I think we're doing all right. I tend to ramble, so forgive me. The crash that happened, that's what I want you to explain. Well, what happened is I tried to purchase the remove ads feature, or sorry, the color swatch feature, and apparently there's a bug with our save data. in which purchasing that led to a little instability. Um, and as such, it meant our save file couldn't load. So all I had to do was go into our folder, delete the save file, which means I lose all of my statistics. But really, this is a development. Uh, this is a development copy, so I don't care. And I just deleted the save file and relaunched the app, and Bob's your uncle. That's why we like the two-man setup, one player, one answer guy. That's a very good point. I probably wouldn't be as frazzled. That would be pretty difficult to set up, though, considering my partner is in Miami. He actually doesn't know I'm doing this. Fun fact, this was a little impromptu. I have to thank Indie Gamer Chick. She sent out a tweet asking if there are any indie devs who wanted to showcase their wares on Indie Gamer Chick TV. And I said, sure, why not? And then suddenly, 200 tweets later, I had to discover how to use Twitch. It's all good. I'm kind of the main lead guy behind TraceRace anyway, so um, conversely, my partner AJ was the lead guy behind Roly Poly Putt, so I'm able to answer most of the questions you guys have about this game anyways. So let's talk about the drawings. So there's 300 drawings that come with the game. This is expandable up to roughly 700, I believe, around that value, if you get all of the individual trace packs. We also have special drawings. So depending on what time of year it is, let's say it's right before Christmas, or it's Halloween, or it's July 1st, or July 4th if you're in the States. The game will favor a special set of drawings based on that holiday. So, over Christmas, we had a lot of, snowman drawings and snowflake drawings that only appear during Christmas. And that's one of our, neat features. So that's another reason to, come back to the game. You never know what drawings you'll see. It might be unique. Chidenden, I'm sorry, I can't pronounce that. Chidenden, let's say that. I must buy this game. Well, I can't accept your money because it's free. It's completely free to play on iPhones, on iPads, which is recommended. If you have a tablet, I would highly recommend playing on that. And on Android devices. Although the Android version is still a work in progress, there are some rough edges. So right now I'm running quite low on ink, so I'm going to try and focus on higher accuracy here to maintain this game as long as possible. Now you see right now I'm getting a pretty high score. I have 1,320 points. The top position for arcade on the leaderboard is in the 4,000 range. I have no idea how they do it. I think they just... I really have no idea. It's absolutely insane. It blows my mind. So the game is pretty simple. There's no music. We did have music. We did have some music contracted out and written. You can hear some of that in our trailer. You can find us on YouTube if you just look up Spaddlewit or TraceRace. We'll be there. But no, we figured that this is the kind of game we want people to play, when they're on the go, when they have a free moment, or to be perfectly blunt, if, if they're taking a moment in the washroom. I'll admit to doing that on more than one occasion. It's the kind of game that you just want to go back to for like a few minutes at a time. So we figured that music was kind of contrary to that goal. We might add it in later as an optional feature. That's always something we could do. Indie Gamer Chick says, I think there's a lot of cheating on iStuff. Funny, I haven't noticed any. I guess I guess that's just, economics of scale. Our game isn't that big. There aren't that many cheaters, therefore. Oh, I finally died. But I go through the leaderboards pretty frequently, maybe like once or twice, a day. All the values are perfectly reasonable. And what's wonderful is that Apple has given us the ability to remove certain scores from the leaderboards and to even ban people from ever recording on the leaderboards. It's a new feature they added, I think, 3 months ago, something like that. Yes, it would be a. Lomdor says that I said that it would be a hype tune to be on the e-store. Absolutely, and in the best way possible. If that ever occurs, I'll be laughing. I will be just. Right now, we're just two guys who love what we do. We are very passionate about game development as a whole. Um, and this is TraceRace, I guess. There isn't a whole lot more to say. I'm gonna go on a shopping spree. I'm gonna buy all of the trace packs just so that you can see the kind of diverse selection of drawings there are. Because the drawings that come with the game, most of them are modified clip art. Now, there's one thing I'll talk about. We had a bit of a snafu early on in development. I was plugging away. I was adding all the clip the art into our game, and I realized after finishing maybe 100 drawings that I was making sure that they were all under the Creative Commons license. I inadvertently didn't distinguish between Creative Commons share alike and just regular Creative Commons attribution, which meant that anything that was under share alike had to be ditched. And I couldn't tell which drawings were and which ones weren't. So I had to trash about 3 months, or sorry, 3 weeks worth of work and start from scratch. It was a minor setback. A few all-nighters later, I caught up, of course, but it taught me a valuable lesson about copyright, copyleft, and whatnot. Or Bruin asks, so have you thought about product placement in the game, i.e. putting sponsored images to trace around? It's a wonderful idea. Yes, we have thought about stuff like that. What you aren't seeing here is we have banner ads in the game in a few locations. I guess that's kind of besides the point of the question, though. I would love to sponsor with someone to have their, we can have, for a specified period of time, we can say, okay, their drawing is going to appear this many times over this set of time. That's absolutely possible. We would love to partner with someone. That's a fantastic idea. It would be interesting to see this expanded to stuff like corporate logos. Lomdar says, if it helps, Nintendo did say that they're taking out the office requirement to publish on the eStore. That does help, considering that there is no brick and mortar Spaddlewit office. Excuse me. But still, it is pretty exorbitant in terms of pricing. And well, I'll be perfectly honest, we haven't done that much research in it, but we're just not at a stage where we can commit to that. What we can commit to is doing appearances at cons. I made an appearance last year at a local game convention called what was it called? It was called Level Up. It was for students who were demoing their games that they had made in school, and I got special permission from the professor to demo my last app, Roly Poly Putt. There, I was the only student there demoing a commercial app. I met a lot of wonderful indies. I met a lot of industry folk. A few guys from EA came around, gave me their card. I gave them mine. It was a wonderful experience. It was crazy though because I didn't have my partner with me. So similar to now, I was rather frazzled. I had 9 hours on my own at one booth, and across the hall was my academic team. I also had to make a game every year for academic purposes. So I kind of was double dipping. I had to, or sorry, doing double duty. I had to watch over their game and their stand and make sure that everything was running fine there. But I had to always be sitting at my booth for Roly Poly Putt and manning it just myself. It was interesting. It was a wonderful experience, and I'm hoping to repeat it this year at Indie Mega Booth, providing I get in. My partner and I have both committed that we could both make the flight down to Boston in April. It's just a matter of whether or not. So as you can see here, a lot more of the drawings are unique. They're from the trace packs. It helps mix things up a bit. If you feel like it's getting stale, and that is one of the problems we hope to address, you have all the trace packs. Here's a particularly daunting drawing of the Hubble Space Telescope. Thank you, NASA, for making any shots of any space equipment or any shots in space really public domain. That was of great help. Yeah, it is rather difficult to play on iPhone, but we anticipated that. So what we did is we have in here we have all the different guide types. We have the magnifier to make it easier, and in addition, we do a calculation in game and we determine whether or not you're playing on a tablet or a phone. and based on that, we change how the game grades you. We change the grading algorithm. We change the brush size. We do a lot of behind the scenes tweaks, just so that the game doesn't feel too unfair. But yeah, you can get used to playing on an iPhone. It's an acquired ability. I'm entertaining any and all suggestions you guys have for where we could take this. We've had a lot of suggestions to take the multiplayer. That'd be great. To have multiplayer component. To have more social elements. We already have Twitter interconnectivity. We'd love to expand on that. Um, we had two scrapped game modes that I'll briefly talk about. One of them is called Free Draw. It would have just been a simple, blank canvas, trace whatever you want, or just draw whatever you want really, and then share that picture online. So it would have been like MS Paint really. We dropped that just because it didn't really fit with the rest of the game. And the last mode we had was just multiplayer, and we have a whole bunch of plans for that, both local and Wi-Fi or long distance multiplayer, competitive, cooperative. Um, One of the neat ideas we had was the game would draw a random line through the middle of the canvas somewhere, and then one player was responsible for one half, and the other was responsible for the other. But there were issues with drawings and determining, all right, if this is a line of symmetry or whatever. Sorry, if you have a line through the middle, can one player draw half of it without letting go of their finger? Does the line cross over the middle at any time? So we'd have to draw up custom traces for that are symmetrical. Um, so we scrapped that. Um, Bruin asks, have you thought about making this a learn how to draw by playing thing? We have. An educational spin on this has always been one of the ideas floating in the back of our minds. I actually went to there's one lady who I met in downtown Toronto who does a lot of research into developmental therapy. Um, because one of the biggest pieces of feedback I've heard um, from players is that this game could find a home for people who have learning disabilities, people who have fine motor skill disabilities, and I totally think that would be wonderful to link us with them. I have a few contacts within a lot of organizations there. It's just a matter of sitting down and figuring out what's the best way to go about this, and to get some actual scientific, reputable facts behind any therapeutic value this game would have. So you can see here, this is one of the constellations, a pretty small one, but there's a fork in it, and that's unique to the constellations that there's multiple paths you have to take. So you have to determine what's the fastest way to go. Oh, I got 100 there, not bad. All right, let's see how well I can do, while simultaneously answering questions and flubbing them up. Oh man. Yeah, playing with the mouse is not recommended. Here's something interesting I'll share. This is just an experimentation. Nothing will probably ever come of this commercially, but we have partially implemented Oculus Rift support for this game, and I do mean partially. Like, it renders, not well, but we've been experimenting with the Oculus Rift because I got the development kit over Christmas. And so it's just as a side project, I've been saying, a 2D drawing game. What if you draw with your head? And the Gamer Chick TV asks, what was your low point in development? Well, the aforementioned, moment when I forgot to distinguish between Creative Commons and Creative Commons share alike. That was a pretty poor point. There really weren't that many low points. TraceRace took roughly 7 months from beginning to end. We started in February 2013, and through all the 7 months, we just worked consistently at it. We had some high points, when we finally got the tracing mechanic in, when we had the first running version on iPhone. I guess, hmm, I guess the financial success could be considered a low point a little bit, but even then, it's so early you can hardly tell. I had anticipated that I'm not going to make a living off of this game. Um, During development, no, not really. The wonderful thing about working with just one other guy is that all the decisions are purely between the two of you. So you don't have to go through any committee to make any big decisions. You don't have to convince everyone that this is the way to go. I spent a week over February, came up with a 25-page design document and pitched it to him. I said, let's do this. Let's do something fun for everyone and make it free. Because we had been selling Roly Poly Putt at 99 cents with limited success. Suffice to say, the free weekends were when we got the bulk of our user base. So we were like, let's do something free, something simple, something that we can fart out in a few months' work, something that we could put a lot of passion into. And so we got to work. What aspect of TraceRace are you least satisfied with? Asked Indie Gamer Chick. Um, that's a tough question. I have to think about that. um, I'm dissatisfied with the results screen. That seems like a peculiar thing to pick on, but um, oh, quick note: this is actually a picture of my dog Chester. He had a little cameo in the game. But the results screen, I had wanted to put on a whole bunch of statistics there. Have a whole bunch of charts render and graphs pop up and make it all very dynamic. But instead, all we have is a few things of text, and you get to see a little thumbnail of the drawings you did, and that's pretty cool. I'm happy we got that in, but I would have liked to see a little bit more. And that's something we'll definitely be hitting on one of our future iterations. We have a few ideas for some interesting analytics we can put in there. And we already calculate those stats internally anyways, because we use them with Game Center. Lomdor suggests some things such as time trial mode, maybe pause the timer when the finger is up, and maybe bonus time for speedy accurate drawings. Those are both very good suggestions. Excuse me. um, Initially, we did actually pause the timer. Um, Before we had really cemented what each game type was going to be about, we did pause the timer, but we found that it didn't really matter either way, and it took a lot of the flow out. How we want the game to play is you're in such a hurry to go through all the drawings that you have no time to relax. The only time you can relax is if you pause. And I'll remind you right now that when you do pause, it covers most of the canvas, so you can't even really see what you're supposed to draw. It was very intentionally done. In fact, if you are on an iPhone or an iPad when you pause, there's a little banner ad that covers the ink bar area perfectly. And in speedrun, that's where time is mentioned. So you do lose a lot of information when you pause. Part of aspect tracer is at least satisfied with gameplay wise. It can seem a little shallow. We've done our best to add some depth. We have the skips if you want to be strategic, and in arcade mode, being efficient with your drawings is absolutely key. But it is a very simple game when you go down to the fundamentals, and so is Draw Something. Um, and as we all are well aware of, Draw Something, had its high point, and then it just kind of puffed away in smoke. I'm hoping that doesn't happen with our game. P. Ashton asks, was development any easier with TraceRace since it was your second game? Absolutely. With our first game development was happening simultaneously with engine development. So it's kind of hard to distinguish between the two if you look back at our logs. If you go onto our site, actually, I'll pull up the link right now. We have a development infographic that goes into a lot of detail about what it took to develop TraceRace, the amount of time we spent, the commits. But overall, this game was a whole lot easier. I had much more familiarity with the engine than I did a year ago. This game took only 7 months compared to like the 12 plus that Roly Poly Putt took. And it's a simple game. Like once we got the core gameplay down, the biggest issue we had to tackle was, all right, let's make a crap load of drawings. One of the ideas that we hope to do with drawings is allow user-made drawings, as I mentioned earlier, but we may also have contests on our site and say, all right, people, submit us your best artwork, and we'll include the top 5 in a free-to-download pack, and we'll have your name on it. Stuff like that. We're always thinking of new ways to innovate and to bring in the community. I lost my tab. Where were we? In my view, it was more mismanagement by Zynga than anything. Both the game and the dev team are now gone. That's a very good point. We are not looking to get bought out. we very much like the position we're in right now. Here's that blog post I was talking about. Posted right now. I'm Spazzo, by the way. That's my internet alias. So there you can see what it took to develop TraceRace from start to finish. So TraceRace came out. It was just before Halloween. It was like October 29th or 30th, something like that. So it's been out for about 2 or 3 months now. And what we hope to do in the next 4 months is, add a whole bunch of new drawings to the stock pack. So in other words, when you get the game, just right out of the box, you have more drawings to choose from. We're hoping to improve a lot of the visuals, some aspects. Like right now, as you see, as I'm tracing, we have little particles flying away from the ink. We're hoping to expand on that, add a lot more particles everywhere. I mean, we coded this lovely particle system. It'd be a shame not to use it. Oh, look at that. So if you play enough times, you'll unlock a new background, and you can change it at any time from the options menu. See how well I did. 78.5% average. My sister, oh man, she's crazy. She has a 90.5 running average overall on every drawing she's ever done. She's a perfectionist. She spends like 5 minutes on every arcade drawing, being meticulous and trying to get hundreds on all of them. I could never do that. I don't nearly have enough focus. All right, so I'm gonna go load up that new background. Here they all are again, so you can take a look. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to ask. If there's any sort of advice I can impart, I'd love to. As I've mentioned before, you can follow us on Twitter. We are Spaddlewit, Spaddlewit. Or you can follow me directly. I'm Mantonakis, or M Antonakis, Mantonakes. I will spell that out because my last name is ridiculous. And we're available for TraceRace is available for free to download on iPhones, iPads, iPod Touches, and Android devices. I just want to again thank Indie Gamer Chick for letting me do this little demonstration of our work. I hope to continue developing games. It's one of my greatest passions. I love it. If you guys have any other questions, again, just feel free to tweet me. But yeah, I guess that's it. It's been a pleasure, everyone. Thank you for having me. Here, let's see if I can. All right, my cursive is awful, but let's see. Good. Bye. There we go. Oh, jeez. That was way harder than it looks.